Before we get to the induction at hand, I'd like to give a quick shout out to a friend of the site, Jason Block. Jason Block graciously gave me a humble bundle of a bunch of editing software, most notably Vegas Pro 14, which is an upgrade from what I normally use, which is Sony Vegas 10. So, thank you very much, Jason, and if you want to check out any of Jason's stuff, go to Spectrum1.net. He is featured on many podcasts, including the BS Big Show, Red State Blue State, NAWC, and a whole myriad of other podcasts, especially We Love to Interrupt Live, which you can also find on GameShowNewsNet.com. And now, more video power. No, wait. I'm sorry. More Game Show girl.
One thing was for sure. They both believe Sparks to be a total tool.
Be an exciting contest which shows that divorced couples can still have fun together, right?
Mythological hero H-list. C. On the spot dice spin.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
It's really hard for me to induct something from a game show that is honestly really, really good. And to tell the truth, is one of the best game shows of all time. So when the fine folks who voted on this month's poll actually voted for the final season, to tell the truth, I came in skeptically, thinking it isn't that bad and didn't deserve to be up there. But looking back at it now and watching a whole bunch of episodes from that time period, I gotta say, they were right. It's strange to talk about a really good show on this channel, but if I must, I must.
1,112 of these leaflets were dropped from an airplane just to impress one girl. The leaflets read, "Mary Lee, I love you. Will you marry me? Steve." Now we'd like you to meet Steve. What is your name, please?
My name is Steve Musich.
My name is Steve Musich.
My name is Steve Musich.
Only one of these gentlemen is the real Steve Musich. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Orson Bean, Kitty Carlisle, plus 100 people in our studio audience on To Tell the Truth.
To Tell the Truth is one of the best game shows of all time. It had everything that you need to make a panel show great. A good host in Bud Collier, a witty engaging panel, a clever hook to the game, and it's something that you could play along with at home. From its debut in 1956, it was Mark Goodson's favorite game show. However, times were changing when 1967 hit. Game shows in primetime were not fashionable during the times of Peyton Place, Mission Impossible, among others. CBS would take note of the changing landscape in primetime and cancel all of Goodson Todman's shows come September of 1967. Daytime was changing too. Fred Silverman, who was the vice president of daytime programming at the time, started expanding soap operas to 45 minutes around this time, and because of this, it squeezed out Password from the daytime lineup, leaving Truth all by itself as the only game show on CBS. So here we are, September of 1967, and it's time to talk about Tell the Truth's final season on CBS. Around this time, a lot of changes would take place on the show. I'm assuming at the behest of Fred Silverman, who was pretty much in charge at this point. So let's talk about some of these changes and how I feel it sped up the process of To Tell the Truth becoming canceled. We're going to start from the top and talk about the theme music. The theme used before the change was a Bob Colbert remix of the song Peter Pan by Dolph Verderlinden. It was a fine theme and fit the proceedings to the T. It added drama with the reveal of the three contestants and felt like a game show theme should. Come September of 1967, the theme changed to a score productions number, and it didn't sound like a theme at all. If I could make a comparison, it'd be more akin to how Price is Right had background music during their grocery item reads. It felt like it was turned into its own theme. Sure, this practice happened for Magic Game Hollywood Squares Hour, which was a car theme, but at least that theme had the gravitas to be its own theme. This didn't have the gravitas to be a theme. By itself, I'd say the new theme sounded like bad travelogue music, or even worse, elevator music. Next up on the list of bad changes was the set. The show originally had a nice green set that they used for the color broadcasts. I wouldn't call it a great set, mind you, but for a panel show of this era, it's serviceable. When the set change happened, we have this blindingly bright white set with different rectangular patches of blue and pink screwed in. It felt like I was playing a weird game of Scrabble, or they honestly took the backdrop panels from the password set and just flung them onto the new set. It looks really tacky, and I'm not a fan of it at all. The biggest change was in the first game and how it was played. You know how there would be an interesting story to hook you into watching the game? Well, throw all the interesting stories out the window because Fred Silverman brings us Guess Who My Partner Is, or something like that. The show would open up with a celebrity and they would say one of these three is my husband, wife, sister, brother, you know, some relation to them. Instead of a story being told by Bud or whoever was filling in for Bud when he was on vacation, the panel would interview the celebrity to glean more info so they in turn could use that for the contestants. Many problems arise with this. First of all, this feels like a special game that could be done once or twice a month to make the proceedings more special given an attraction feel. Instead, this was an everyday occurrence done by Silverman to freshen up the show. Secondly, having the interview gave the panel way too much information at the out, and more often than not, you wouldn't get that many incorrect votes from the panelists, or the 100 people voting in the audience for that matter. Lastly, that made the games all similar sounding and give the inclination that the viewing audience is watching a rerun rather than something brand new. To me, making the first game the exact same format, the exact same story, makes it seem worse. If I could sum up the final season of To Tell the Truth on CBS in one word, that one word would be downgrade. The set was a downgrade from the original set, looking like they just took the backdrop from the password set and made a new set. The music score was a real downgrade, and adding the opening part of having the loved one answer questions first before the actual game starts gave the panel too much of an advantage. With all of these downgrades, the show would be canceled on September 6, 1968. However, the story does not end there.
Now, our first guest today is both an ardent doodler and he is an expert on that subject. And we'll meet him in a moment as soon as he tries to, well, let's say hold the panel first here on To Tell the Truth.
With the success of What's My Line in syndication, Goodson Todman decided to make To Tell the Truth available for syndication for September of 1969. Originally, they wanted Bud Collyer back to host, but when approached with the opportunity, Bud told them, "I'm just not up to it." So with Bud out, they contacted former I've Got a Secret host Gary Moore instead. He thought it'd be a great time to come out of retirement after the Gary Moore show was canceled and took the job. On September 8, 1969, the revival debuted of new host Gary Moore. The classic panel of Orson Bean, Peggy Cass, and Kitty Carlisle came back alongside former secret panelist Bill Cullen to become our four panelists. The show was a huge success upon launch and improved on what made Truth great in the original run. The banter between the panelists were great, and Gary Moore added some levity to the proceedings to make it even better. What I also loved was the demonstrations of the stories, which just added more to the show, the same way the demonstrations added more to What's My Line when it was revived in 1968. The revival of Truth is one of my favorites from the 70s, and is how you do a revival right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Game Show Garbage. I'm Cindy Soderman. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and I hope everybody out there has a very happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate this time of year. Have a wonderful holiday, and I will see you again in 2018 for a really, really great induction that I've just been dying to do. Until next time, bye-bye! Ho, ho, ho!